Hello everyone, here's the Lawful Evil DM and I'm back for the second episode of Dungeoneering. If you don't know, the goal of this series is to teach both new and veteran DM on how to make great atmospheric dungeon, room by room. In this second episode, I will give you the second part of my recipe to make great dungeon. We will see the 3+ technique and the 5-room system. At first, I wanted to cover the CNPR system and the STF system in this video, but I will do them in episode 3 because episode 2 would be too long to my liking if I did so. Dungeoneering Part 2. Dreadful design. 1. Third time's the curse. The 3+ solution system is pretty simple. I don't actually remember where I first heard about it. If you know where this is coming from, please inform me and I'll put a link in the description. Anyway, I've decided to put my spin on it. So, what is the 3+ system? Well, to every situation you put your player through, you have to find 3 solutions yourself and be willing to accept other solution to the problem you put in front of your player. Well, if those solutions make sense, of course. I will go a step further and identify 3 types of solution that I apply to almost every problem I put in front of my players. 1. Brute strength. It is often translated to combat in some way, but it can also be, for example, a barbarian that decides to use his rage to trigger a trap on himself, so the group may move forward safely afterward. 2. Skills check or roleplay solution. Simple enough, roll a skill check to take care of the problem, like using an acrobatic or athletic check to jump a chasm. I suggest making it at least 2 medium difficulty skill check to succeed fully, maybe even 3. The harder the rolls, the less in number they are. If they are very easy, they may be numerous. Of course, this is an RPG we are playing here, so sometimes talking your way out might be a valid solution. 3. Magic. After all, role-playing games are very often about some kind of fantasy, so very often the solution will come with the fantasy. Maybe the wizard will use an invisibility spell to get past the guards. And the plus. Anything else, and sometimes not quite what you had in mind. Sometimes it will be in one of those 3 categories, but not quite what you would have thought. Like a rogue, not sneaking by the guards with a skill check, but instead using his charisma check to make the guard believe that he is a secret agent of their boss. It is important that you let your player try while giving them a fair chance if it is logical. Your solutions are not better than those of your PC. Also note that those kind of solutions are not mutually exclusive. You can design your solution, or your player can find one, that require all 3 types. Like the mage casting silence somewhere allowing the barbarian to charge the enemy, while the bard roll a charisma check to keep the attention away from the scene. Do not make your solution too complex, your player will come up with crazy enough solution by themselves. Also know that it is totally acceptable to, from time to time, get rid of an overused solution for a particular problem. Maybe there is an anti-magic zone, or maybe the enemy can see through all eyes with a spell. Or maybe the enemy is in public and has good standing with the authorities, which make a direct fight with him a crime punishable by otherwise lawful good authorities. Those are there to push your player out of their comfort zone from time to time. But don't overuse it. It should be the exception, not the norm. All that being said, all solutions should not be made equal. Consequences are important, and creativity is to be rewarded, most of the time. Brute force might alert people. Skill check might fail horribly. Magic and easy skipping of challenges might make you miss some important detail later. Here's an example of a 3+ solution from my very own game. I had a corridor protected by an obvious mirror trap, which my PC knew about beforehand. They knew that stepping in front of it might disintegrate them after a while, and that the trigger for the trap was as simple as casting a reflection on the mirror. The hallway was 60 feet long and ended by two walls almost touching each other, having just a little space in between them, maybe enough to let a cat squeeze through. My three solutions were: 1. Smash the mirror. Of course, it's brute strength. It will work, but it will also alert the guards. 2. Disabling the trap with a skill check. But it will just work for 3 rounds and there is 2 walls at the end of the corridor. Surely, there is a way to pass through, but it might take a thief tool check to open it, or a dex check to reach a possible lever on the other side of the walls. 3. Go invisible or using teleportation via magic. But what is on the other side of those walls? Is it really safe for the wizard to go there alone? And the plus. Well, one of my players used her familiar, a sprite. That fake can become invisible. It is also very small, so it squeezed itself through the opening. Since she have a telepathic link with it, the player was able to see inside the room. In it, some lever and some zombie. The sprite pulled the door lever, which led the zombie in front of the mirror. After all, there were fresh meat at the end of the corridor. The player not only succeeded the first challenge in this situation, but also made another one way easier. I was so proud. What would have been your out-of-the-box solution? Tell me in the comment section. Number 2. The 5 finger of the Black Hand. The 5-room system has been around for a long time, but I have to admit, the first time I've heard about it was in a YouTube video of A Fistful of Dice. The video in question will be in the description. Before starting, a suborning advice. Room doesn't mean room. I mean 2 things by that. 1. A room can be a corridor. No problem here. 2. A room is not really related to the physical space. So a guardian room, which we'll talk about later, may be stretched in multiple rooms. Likewise, a puzzle room can be found piece by piece during the whole dungeon. Here's an example. The character arrives in the dungeon and sees 4 paintings. 1. Without a face, represents an elf giving a rose to a female halfling. Later, the characters ends up in an old library, but only 1 book is still readable. An investigation check might reveal that there is 4 stories in the book, one of which is about an elf named Lealas. In another room, there is multiple stone objects. 1 is a rose. There is multiple statues representing different races with open hands, ready to receive something. On the wall, there is an inscription. Give the gift of Lealas to his friend. Giving the rose to the female halfling could give them some treasure. With that said, let's go back to the 5-room dungeon. Like the name say, the system revolves around 5 types of room. 1. The entrance and/or guardians. This is the welcome room. It usually sets the tone for the dungeon. This room is also usually the reason why nobody went there before. It is often a fight, but it can be something else, like the fact that the dungeon is hidden. Number 2. The puzzles, traps, or role-playing challenge. With the last room, you most certainly tested the character of your players and their stats. Here, you want to challenge the players themselves. How will they convince the ghost to let them open that chest? Also note, a fight with a particular angle can be made here. Maybe the player needs to destroy a painting in order to hurt a monster clearly linked to it. Before continuing, a suborning advice. It's a simple but often forgotten advice that many new DMs struggle with. It is not because you made it that your player needs to find it. It is really relevant to the puzzle room. Why? Because sometimes the players don't find the solution. Heck, sometimes they don't even see the puzzle. And you know what? It is fine. Not all secrets are to be learned by this group of individuals. It is also fine and even prefer to make the puzzle a skippable or bonus room, something that won't block the PC in their advance in the dungeon, but still can be very useful if succeeded. Alright, let's get back to the 5-room dungeon. Room number 3, the red herring. It does something about the rest of the dungeon. Maybe they find trace of the passage of some beasts that will be fought later. Sometimes the red herring is a lie. Other time, it's just a roadblock that forces your player character to backtrack. My weapon of predilection here is the fake boss with mediocre loot. Players with investigation skills should be able to see through the lies and reap the reward for their efforts. Number 4. The boss. Pretty straightforward here, but still, play with it a little bit. Have fun. Number 5. The plot twist. Maybe the boss ran away, maybe the boss was a good guy, maybe there is a secret door to a treasure, maybe the adventurer get ambushed by enemies at the exit of the dungeon. Be wild here. Note that you do not need all these types of room in your dungeon. In fact, you usually want 4 out of 5 type of room. However, if it is the case in your dungeon, I suggest that you repeat 1 type of room to still have 5 room in your dungeon. For example, you can replace the puzzle room by guardian rooms. Also note that those rooms do not need to be in order. For example, you can put the plot twist right before the boss. Maybe they want to hunt down a human, but instead find its corpse on the floor, ripped apart by the creature that live here, and it's hangry and hungry. So go ahead and shuffle the room to your liking. This video has been made possible by the use of some programs and websites. For the sound and music part of it, I have been trying Tabletop Audio, which is a cool free website with ton of choices for all type of RPGs. Go check it out. Thanks to André Ménard for suggesting it in the comment section. I would like to also recommend Syrinscape, as you can personalize the soundtracks to make them just right. For the visual of the dungeon, I have been using Virtual Battle Map, which is a powerful tool to both map the dungeon and take picture to help your description of the room and setting a tone. For the overland map, I have been using Incarnate.com. I also use Pixabay and OpenClipArt.org for some free of right image. Alright, do me a favor. Go drink the tears of your player and bring me back the news.